The Dukascopy TV team once again brings you the week ahead, where we invite a guest to talk to us about several key data releases or events that could shape the markets in the week beginning Monday 13th of May. Merina Willemse, economist at Efficient Group, joins me on the line. Merina, what do you think investors and market players should be keeping a close eye on this week?
Well, there's quite a lot of big data releases this week. I think the big one today is the U.S retail sales number for April. Markets really keep an eye on the progress of the American recovery after some previous data suggested that there was a recovery and then data came in a little bit weaker. And we're not really sure if that economy will stay strong, and we'll see the continuation of further stimulus programs out of America as a result of economic data. So I think that's a big one. On Wednesday, also big GDP numbers from Germany, the European Union, and Japan. All these again pointing to similar results, showing a recovery from the recession out of these different regions, and whether or not stimulus programs will continue as steady as they are at the moment. On Thursday, I think housing starts again out of an inflation number for the U.S. will paint a more complete picture on the U.S. market as well, influencing markets on that day. And the same on Friday again with the Michigan Sentiment Index, telling us again what's going on in terms of the sentiment in the markets for the U.S.
And what can we expect from the US retail sales data releasing later today? Currently figures stand at minus 0.4%. Can we see them drop as the market expects?
I think this is likely to happen. It's obviously still a contraction then, but it's a smaller contraction than the month before. So again, pointing not really to a positive view on what's going on in terms of the consumer spending in the American economy, but perhaps just an improvement on the contraction would at least hold sentiment at bay in terms of markets, and we'll still see markets in the green despite this number still showing a contraction.
Also on Tuesday, we have the German ZEW survey release. What kind of forecast can we expect from the Centre of European Economic Research on Germany's economic situation?
Well, at the moment, the expectation is for this index to shape up a little bit higher in the next month, but only marginally. And despite this only marginal increase in sentiment, I think what's important to note is that this index has been improving in the last 2 months, even though the latest month's release was a little lower than the previous 2 months. We're still seeing, in terms of the general trend in the sentiment index, an upward movement. So again, I think that an improvement in the next month is likely, even though it might only be marginal.
And German GDP data will be released on Wednesday. Do you think there will be a contraction in figures, as they have been pretty lackluster of late?
Well, market is expecting growth very slowly, 0.3% on the quarter, perhaps 0.2% on the year for the first quarter. So it's very muted growth. If we do see growth coming from there, I think market will be quite disappointed if the growth doesn't come through. So hopefully no contraction in the fourth quarter. And if we get a disappointing figure there, I'm sure the market will also react to that negatively, of course. I mean, the growth in Germany will be driven mostly from the demand side, or the domestic demand side from that economy. And there's mostly a stable labour market and relatively stable domestic income growth, so disposable income growth. So I think at this point, if we could at least just show just above zero growth, this will be something the market expects, and we'll see a positive reaction from the markets.
The Bank of England inflation report is due on Wednesday. What are your expectations for UK inflation?
Well, I do expect the bank to release a report stating their expectation for inflation to be slightly lower, say around 3%. But they're probably not also going to call on a downgrade on GDP. So this is good news for the UK market, and it might actually be a good handover to the new central bank governor.
And on Thursday, we will see the release of U.S Consumer Price Index data. What can we expect?
Inflation is expected to moderate a little bit in America from 1.5% year on year to about 1.3% year on year. And I think this is in line with most global inflation indices at the moment, mostly on the back of slower increases or decreases actually in the price of energy in America specifically.
Lastly, on Friday, we have Canadian Consumer Price Index figures emerging. What kind of figures do you anticipate?
Well, again, I think very similar trends to the American inflation number. Canada's inflation number is expected to slow down at about 1.2% only, increases for the month of April, and this is after the 1.4% year-on-year increase for March.
That's all for now, but do check out my interview today with Standard Chartered Bank on Poland's recent record low rate cut. Goodbye for now.